Hi, my name is Clayton Adams and I'm doing my second tech exploration on hearing aids. So, what is the area of instructional concern addressed by this technology? Basically, hearing aids were created, obviously not just for students, but for anyone with a hearing loss or who's hard of hearing. And for students, they would definitely have a difficult time learning information audibly. So hearing aids could improve a student's ability to hear information and learn through sound. So today in school, a lot of teaching and information is passed verbally or through sound, and students must be able to listen, which can be difficult if a student is hard of hearing. What current abilities would a student need to use this technology? The technology is simple to use and is simply placed inside a person's ear. It's placed inside or around a person's ear. So I've seen people as young as babies with hearing aids up to older adults. So anybody can wear a hearing aid. Doesn't require much skills or anything like that. Typically, students with hearing loss have the ability to read lips or possibly perform sign language. This is not a prerequisite to have a hearing aid. This would just maybe greatly improve a hearing aid if a person was able to understand sign language and read lips. Not only could they hear, but they could also get information those other ways. What are the students' areas of need served by this technology? So the ultimate goal of a hearing aid is to amplify sound and to make speech more intelligible. The whole goal is to make things more clearly heard for that person wearing a hearing aid. Hearing aids do not cure hearing loss. They just improve a person's ability to hear and differentiate sounds. And in that picture there's different types of hearing aids. There's bigger ones and there's smaller ones. So what characteristics of the student's learning environment are impacted or required to use for this technology? So the student learning environment would be positively impacted. The student could be able to hear videos, lectures, could be able to hear peers and other individuals who are speaking to them. The only requirement would be for the individual to, maybe if you're interacting with someone with a hearing aid, possibly speak a bit louder and definitely speak more clearly. But there's really no requirements for a person and a requirement for a learning environment to accommodate a person with hearing aids. Alright, so what is the optimal physical arrangement of the learning environment? So environmental factors that could help this assistive technology would be preferential seating. So a student with a hearing aid could be placed in a desk close to the area where the teacher usually teaches, possibly close to a smartboard, close to the front of the room, so they can be at an advantage to hear things. It would not be good to sit a person with a hearing aid all the way in the back of the room, away from everything. Speaking and having audible sounds as close as possible to the individual with hearing aids. So if you're doing an activity that involves sound, possibly a video, make sure the student is as close as they can possibly be to hear the video. So in what instructional arrangement could this technology be used? Hearing aids can be used virtually anywhere. They can be used in classrooms, small groups, in the business world, anywhere in real life. I've seen hearing aids in a multitude of different environments. So extremely loud environments may not be an ideal place to have any hearing aid. Off the top of my head, concerts, that might not be the best place to have a hearing aid. How does this impact the materials and equipment that students and teachers are using? So students can begin interacting with instructional material and objects that incorporate sound, such as iPads, videos, text-to-voice software, music, and the internet, has tons of things that incorporate sound. So what specific learning tasks are impacted by this technology? Any learning activity where the student is expected to listen and hear would be positively affected by this assistive technology. Specifically, learning by listening, which often would be lecture or If you're watching a video that's giving you information, you definitely would have to listen, unless they're obviously closed captioning. Also, being able to communicate more efficiently with peers and adults would be improved, because the student now knows what is being communicated to them, so then they can communicate more effectively. What are key indicators of improvement that are enabled by this technology? So key indicators that show if this technology is working would be improved grades, improved reception to sound, improved communication, improved verbal understanding. And don't be afraid to get feedback from that person who's wearing the hearing aid to see, is it working? Do they like it? Is it comfortable in their ear? What are the key features of this technology? So hearing aids are molded to fit a person's ear. Every electronic hearing aid has, at a minimum, there's a microphone in there to capture sound. There's a loudspeaker to amplify sound. That's commonly called a receiver. And there's a battery and then electronic circuitry. So hearing aids are electronic devices. The average cost of a hearing aid would be $4,500. How does this tool provide an equitable learning environment for the student and meeting learning outcomes? So students who are able to fully use all of their senses, especially sound, are at an extreme advantage in life and in school to those who are unable or to use their ears, or have a loss of hearing. Hearing aids provide students who are hard of hearing or have hearing loss a fair chance to hear information similarly to their peers. What additional tools does the student require to perform in this environment? Students should have the ability to keep the hearing aid in their ear while they are in school. One issue I could probably see, maybe if a student has autism plus a hearing disability, I could see them possibly ripping it out of their ear. But like I said before, most I've seen babies with hearing aids and they haven't had any issues with it. The student's family should ultimately possess the funds or means to purchase or acquire a hearing aid. $4,500 is quite a bit of money. So you definitely need to be able to get the hearing aid. Once the hearing aid is acquired, the student should possess the ability to begin attempting to listen through the hearing aid. So what I mean is, if a student gets the hearing aid, they should be able to be a little bit enthusiastic about being able to hear sounds and be receptive to using their hearing aids. So that's the end of the presentation. I think hearing aids would be a great tool for someone who has loss of hearing or who is hard of hearing. I know it's expensive, $4,500, but I would rather be able to hear than it's just money. I would rather be able to use my sense of hearing than have that money. So I think hearing aids could greatly improve a classroom learning environment for someone who's has a loss of hearing.